Hi everybody, I'm Jess, this is my channel, and today we're going to be talking about the perceptions of LARP. So, hi, if you're new to my channel, my name is Jess, and I like to talk about LARP on the internet. LARP stands for Live Action Roleplay, which is essentially a game of make-believe played by adults. You get to go out with your friends, go make up a character, and you play through a fictional story in a reactive setting, in the sense that you do not have a script, you just improvise how you think your character will react to the situation and you just continue on through the story. So, in case you missed it, a few weeks ago, this article appeared online. So, this gentleman decided to go for a walk during the UK lockdown in his LARP kit. Not the craziest thing we've seen during lockdown, however, in my personal opinion, bit of a mistake to take the sword with you. A fact that was agreed with the local police after the locals called them for seeing a guy wandering around in armour and a sword, and what essentially showed up to greet him was the UK version of SWAT. Now, while this has been one of the rather more entertaining things that has come out of the LARP community during this wonderful lockdown, and full credit to the guy who did it, because I've seen his comments online and he is owning it, and bravo to you, sir. It has rather brought up some interesting conversations in regards to how the general public currently perceive LARP. The hobbies of reenactment and improvised theatre stretches back millennia, going all the way back to ancient Rome with historical battles being reenacted in the Colosseum, to Queen Elizabeth I hosting a fantasy court as part of a party, introducing mythological figures to her guests. But LARP really started in the 70s and 80s, depending on your continent. As many games had their foundations in Dungeons & Dragons, it is not surprising that the satanic panic of that era not only carried through from the tabletop game to the live action one as well. Dressing up as wizards in the woods didn't really convince people that they weren't losing touch with reality. There were genuine concerns about the sanity of roleplayers. It really kicked off in 1979 when James Dallas Egbert III, a 16-year-old child prodigy, disappeared from Michigan State University. Despite the fact that Egbert was suffering from depression and drug abuse, the private investigator that was on the case was convinced that his disappearance was associated with his fascination with Dungeons & Dragons. While Egbert was recovered on this occasion, this belief was exacerbated by his eventual suicide in 1980 and the death of Irving Lee Pulling in 1982. Pulling's mother became completely convinced that her son's suicide was linked to a curse that had been placed upon his Dungeons & Dragons character during a roleplay game. She attempted to sue her son's high school principal, who was the game's DM, as well as Dungeons & Dragons creators. This lawsuit was unsuccessful. Despite this, she did start a lifelong campaign to prevent other children from becoming victims of Dungeons & Dragons, and she was not the only vocal voice in this movement. The game's portrayal of witchcraft and fictional gods also drew the attention of Christian organisations in the US. The FTC were even instructed by the National Coalition for Television Violence to put a warning before every single episode of the Dungeons & Dragons cartoon in 1985 because they believed that there was a link between Dungeons & Dragons and real-life suicides of teenagers, which was, of course, nonsense. Studies by the American Association for Suicidology, the US Centers for Disease Control, and Health and Welfare Canada found that there was no common link at all between suicides and Dungeons & Dragons. And that extended to live action roleplay as well. The idea that players would be encouraged to commit suicide if their characters died within the game was deemed to be utterly preposterous. And that is how LARP drifted from the realm of the disturbed and into the realm of the geek, where it now currently resides. And that is where things start to get really bizarre. Until I became a LARPer, I was completely unaware of any form of hierarchy within the realms of geekdom. And apparently, I was incredibly naive. Because I have found this flowchart. Now, as you can see, LARPers are here. Yeah, right here. Now, I wouldn't take this too seriously, and I definitely question the sanity of anybody who went to the time to build this said flowchart, but it's not a completely inaccurate view people have of where LARPers are in the food chain. As we move on from the satanic panic of the 80s, you move into a new era where there are people out there interested in geek and nerd culture and will turn around to each other and go, well, at least I don't LARP. Because LARPers can be seen as being people who would prefer to go and play pretend in a field than have an actual grip on reality, which is, of course, complete nonsense. It echoes the previous belief of this whole satanic panic thing, of that people who generally are into roleplay are not really having a strong grip on what is real and what is fictional. And frankly, media portrayals do not help us either. Not when.
So what we do is we super glue the ears together on the tips. Now, this gives a better natural feel, and with the squeaky voice, it makes us elves.
This is a LARP I go to. I've never seen anyone do this. Just, what? Combine this with some incredibly stereotypical film portrayals.
May Xanthia and Kiss My Anthea be allies.
King Argatron be damned. We fight with you.
Thank you, friends. Your honor is great.
Come, let us gingerly touch our tips.
And it just seems like the role of the LARPer is just completely always going to be uncool. These portrayals aren't really designed to encourage people to take LARPing seriously, but rather to make fun and mock the hobby. Because let's face it, if you portray the players to be weird and a little bit crazy, then the hobby seems to be for people that are a bit weird and a bit crazy, which is just not the case. In recent years, awareness of LARP has spread. While it has not gained the cultural acceptability of other aspects of traditional geek culture, such as gaming or anime, it is still a growing and developing hobby. And while still every so often we do get a negative portrayal of what it means to be a LARPer, not mentioning a certain Netflix series that went Riverdale. Oh, excuse me. Don't know what happened there. I had a frog in my throat. Riverdale! Oh, look, there it was again. Portrayals of LARP generally are more positive. Documentaries on the subject are far more flattering than they used to be. Even if you go onto YouTube and watch the Try Guys podcast, The Tripod, if you don't watch this, go do it. They are absolutely fantastic. In one of their more recent episodes, Keith Habersberger talks about his experiences with LARP when he was younger.
I'm not the inventor of this activity, but I think people should try it at one point in their life. It's fun. It involves crafts and it involves playtime, and that is LARPing, creating foam medieval weapons and fighting your friends with them.
I
did it in high school, and I was referred to as our group of friends foam smith.
Social media is full of opportunities for people to go and try out LARP, with Facebook being full of groups and pages who are happy to try and help you find the LARP that you want to play. Looking up LARP on Instagram will overload you with pictures from events, pictures of costumes, pictures of character concepts. And these are open, they are out for everybody to find. They're not in some dark corner of the web where you have to have a password to get in. It's literally there. And there are so many amazing LARP YouTube channels like Momo O'Brien, Azrai, LARP Girl, Sherlock Holmes, literally any of them. Go check them out. They all do amazing content showing you so much about LARP and how amazing of a hobby it is. If you haven't heard of them, go watch. I've put links in my description box below so you can go find them. Go. But the fact that this content is available right there and so easy to find proves that it is no longer just something that people feel like they should be ashamed of and not talk about. Maybe one day LARPers will not need to feel like they have to tell their work colleagues that they're going camping when they take some time off to go to an event. I tell my work colleagues about what I do. Some of them think it's a bit weird, but they're interested, and some of them knew what I was talking about before I even had to explain it. And I'm going to keep talking about it because I plan to tell as many people as possible about how awesome LARP is as a hobby. And that's why my next video is going to be the launch of my next LARP 101 series. And what I will be looking at is at the basics for LARP kit. So if you have not subscribed to this channel, please do. Please like and share my videos so that I can keep working my way through the YouTube algorithm. And thank you so much for watching. I hope you're staying safe and healthy, and I will see you on a battlefield soon.